Hey, how you doing? My name's Corey Wells. I'm here on the Keith Andrews Network doing an interview. Hope you can watch. Let's go. Nice to see you.
For people who want to know what is the Keith Andrews Network, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. So prove to them it can stem out something. 27 minutes of your time, PG-13, but it is uncensored. So you do have the right and freedom to say and express yourself however you want. So the first question I want to ask you, actually, let's change up the format. And how I usually ask, oh, hey, let's ask this question. Let's do it spontaneously. So, sure. Because it is at the end of the format of the show, so why not have fun with it? You are episode 895. So let's go back in time to 1995. You are a professional actor, and that's one thing I do want to talk about. But what were you doing in 1995? Were you an actor back then?
No, I was. I owned a surf shop down at Nantasket Beach on the South Shore of Boston for about 13 years. And I was surfing, skating, snowboarding, riding bikes. That's what I did for 13 years. So 1995 was probably one of the best years for surfing on the East Coast. So I'm pretty happy to have been around. 95 was like the summer of 69, kind of, sort of. It was, definitely a special year. So I'm glad you picked 95.
No, absolutely. It's funny you say surfing, and the first thing that popped in my head was surfing in the USA.
Yeah, a lot of people are like that. Totally. Yeah, no, it was actually, those years were fantastic on the South Shore. So I was glad to be there for that time period. And I had a skate team and a surf team for the surf shop, and they did very well. I had some really, really good guys who were riding for the shop. So it was some memorable years. I'm sure it was for them as well.
Absolutely. And one thing I just realized, when it becomes like in the 90s, then I'm like, okay, let's talk about things in the 90s. But I was just thinking, why not do like some things in the 80s? But that's for another time. Once I get 980, I can go back to that. But 1995, you look at professional wrestling, you look at the WWF and WCW, the Monday Night War, how that's shaped and how that turned out. But 95, with, God forbid, an alternative reality with coronavirus was in 95, you couldn't do any remote learning. You probably wouldn't go to school. You probably be crippled, not actually saying crippled, I'm saying everything was crippled back in 95. I understand. No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I totally understand what you're saying.
Now, let me ask you this one. How do you think we would have handled this in 1995?
I think, honestly, we would have handled it better. People weren't as critical. They didn't criticize every single thing that everybody does. They weren't as mean. We cared about each other a lot more. There was a lot more solidarity, which there's a really big lack of these days.
No, I agree with you 100%. Now let's go to the main focus, social media. Can social media make you or break you? You mentioned in 1995, you were an owner of your own shop.
Yeah.
Now, what made the transition from being an owner to an actor? That's one question. And has social media impacted your career?
Yes. Well, the reason that I got out of the surf industry was because I had a daughter and I didn't want to be an absentee dad. It was a very demanding job because it was running the surf shop. I had a skateboard company. We made surfboards, we made skimboards. I put out a magazine. It was 7 days a week, 9 to 9, sometimes longer. And I knew if I would have stayed there, that I would have just been an absentee dad. And then I just would have been miserable when I was older and had my conscience just beating the crap out of me, which it likes to do. And I'm aware of that. So I made sure I didn't make that mistake. Having learned that from men who are older than me, who I got to meet in their, I hate to say it, their dying years. And usually their biggest regret was that they didn't spend enough time with their kids. I do not have this regret. I spent an exorbitant amount of time with my children. So no, I knew that would happen if I stayed at the shop, that I would be that miserable old guy saying, oh, I wish I spent more time with my kids. And I did not want that to be me. So I moved up here, raised my kid, and just basically I do property management and property maintenance up here. And I just did my normal gig for a while. And I got my daughter into modeling, and her photographer was convincing me to get back into modeling, which I did. And it's not really my field, but while I was doing that, I got a bit part in a movie down in Rhode Island and had so much fun that I realized that that's what I really wanted to be doing.
No, absolutely. And what about, 1995, I believe the Instagram started, the internet boom anyway, was the 90s, that's AOL.
Yes.
I believe was 1995. There was no Facebook, LinkedIn. So we were to fast forward a couple of years with you being a professional actor. Actually, let me start off by asking this question. What
Sure.
attracted you to begin your career as a professional actor?
What was that first? Well, there's a couple things. The first opportunity to get to act in that film, and the fact of being stereotyped my whole life because of my appearance. I realized, that I had the same effect on a lot of different people in a lot of different places. So I figured, hey, why not use it? Along with the fact that I enjoyed doing it from doing that first film, kind of just all clicked. Like, hey, why not take advantage of the stereotype while I'm doing this? And yeah, that stereotype hangs in there. Let me tell you, it's hard to shake. And people can't seem to separate. It's kind of comical. They can't seem to separate you from your characters a lot of times. And they no matter how hard they try, they see you as your character. And people are very passionate about that and will hate you because you played, a bad guy so effectively that you convince them that you actually are a bad guy. So.
No, absolutely. Now go back to your question I asked before about social media. Has Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, has these, or Instagram for that matter, has these formats given you opportunities to branch out in the entertainment world and be interviewed?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no question about that. And you got to be careful. They're dicey platforms. I don't do Twitter. I really haven't been doing Instagram a lot lately because it seems like they changed their format, and it just seems like I'm looking at ads and suggested for you, sponsored, suggested for you. And it's but it's nothing that is of any interest to me. So it makes it, I'm scrolling down and it's, I might see onesies, twosies of people that I know who actually are posting something, and the rest is just ads and suggested for you. That's just my take on it. And that's only really been for about the last 6 months that I can see. On the other hand, I think Facebook, possibly more because I'm not, in the young crowd. I think Facebook is a more effective tool. I think you get more coverage. But I think it's going to be the 30, 35 and up club. I don't think there's a lot of young people on there. There's some, don't get me wrong, but I think there's, for myself, I know what I think my demographic is there that I'm hitting. And yes, I think it's a very helpful tool. Back in the 90s, we would have killed for a platform like this to get the exposure that was almost impossible to get back then. So now it's very simple. It's just how you play it. And again, it creates, an online image, and people again can't, separate you from that. So it's you gotta play it the correct way for you. Everybody's different. So you just have to try to figure out how it works best for you.
No, you're right. There's one person. If everyone goes to YouTube or Facebook, it's just my interview where I was interviewed on the Manhattan neighborhood broadcast, and it was a really good interview about it. One thing it strikes a nerve on Liz. I was able to have removed. He's like, oh, he's really busy today. He has another interview. That other interview was in Brooklyn. So I was like, no, going to the city. Why not have fun with it? I like to be interviewed. Might as well. It's stupid because I paid $300 for a taxi to go down. I'm like, well, if I'm down here already, I might as well. He's like, oh, give me an extra 20. We can go over, from Manhattan to Brooklyn. I'm like, okay. Went over there. First off, I didn't know it was in a ghetto neighborhood. That's number one. But to me, it was like, this is a nice neighborhood. Besides, it's not when you say ghetto, it's it's not like that. It's just it's just stereotype for the most part. And I was like, I found out later it's in a ghetto neighborhood and whatever. And I went over to this network, and it's like, okay, I saw this guy, and the tip off was the guy had no teeth. And I was like, you're supposed to be interviewing me. You're not dressed professionally. You're dressed like a pimp, and you don't have any teeth. I'm like, okay, whatever. Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't throw stones. Let's just go into the studio, and maybe he's just a greeter or something. No, we're going to do the interview on the sidewalk. I took a taxi all this way to be interviewed on a freaking sidewalk, and it wasn't even that good. Like, we're gonna prop the camera up like this. Meanwhile, you have trucks going by, cars going by. You couldn't hear a damn thing I was saying.
Oh, crazy.
There's a part of me that was kind of like wanting to say, excuse me for a minute, jump into the taxi and say, get me the hell out of here.
Right.
But I didn't, because I wasted $20 extra. So as you say, people who are scam artists, okay, you got me on that. But I'm very selective how I approach people, how I present myself. There's other. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just saying I've had this conversation the last few days about all the scammers online. So this is fresh in my memory.
Let me ask you this. I usually say this for the end of the show, but while we're talking about it, I want you to be brutally honest.
Okay.
When I first messaged you to be a guest on my talk show.
Yes.
Trying to find the words for it, because I keep saying it in different ways. What made you say yes? And did you think it was a scam?
No, I actually didn't think it was a scam. No, I thought you were legit. So yeah, no, for whatever reason, I wouldn't have responded, or I would have blown you off. That's as brutally honest as I can be.
No, I appreciate that. And people are like, oh, you sent me this email and I don't know what you're selling. I'm like, I'm not selling anything. I'm talking about having disabilities. For some reason, I like gothic girls. Apparently, I do like all girls. I message gothic girls, and somehow it turns into a damn argument saying, how the hell do you know I have a disability? Okay, let me rephrase that. I have a disability, and I'm creating the show. If you happen to have a disability, terrific. But I don't know you had a disability. You say something. Well, you had to message me, and you had to know. I'm like, you know what? Quick, because I don't have a crystal ball or something.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
It's like Deanna's family. It's like, who are you? Who moved a rock? But anyway, it's not about me. But the one thing I do want to ask you, with all the years that you've been a professional actor, what has been your greatest achievements?
My greatest achievement was honestly, my greatest achievement was doing a small commercial video for my kid. It was doing a yoga video for the company that she works for. That to be able to use my abilities to help her that was by far, that felt that I was warm and fuzzy all day doing that. It didn't matter how long it took. And, we had all kinds of editing problems, and it was right down to the night before it was, had to be submitted. And, they were blown away by it. And, she was really excited. Filming Uncanny Harbor was really fun. We had some really good people in the crew and the cast, and everything went rather smoothly with that for the extent of the project. And I don't know, almost every project has something they're all memorable. We try to make it an environment where you're not just making a film, but you're making a really fond memory at the same time, and really enjoying yourself. I find that when everybody's in that frame of mind, you get a better finished product.
I agree with you. What about looking for a good one? Let's see. Because you got to come to a point where I need new questions after doing 100 of these.
Right.
The other one I want to ask you is, tell our audience what you're working on right now.
Right now, working on a couple of projects, working on a series of short films called Family Affairs, which I don't know how I would explain it without giving it away. I don't want to give it away. So it's kind of mafioso oriented, I guess you could say. It's kind of in that vein. And we're also working on another series. It's a kind of like a mockumentary kind of format. It's called the Herbex Chronicles. It's about, it's like some people who get into producing a ghost hunting show, kind of a ghost hunting, urban exploration, urban myth show. And that we're going to be finishing up with the post-production on episode 2, probably maybe end of October. So we'll have 2 of those episodes done, and we should have at least one of the Family Affair films done probably by Christmas, I would think, maybe a little bit sooner. And we're pretty excited with how everything's coming out. There's also going to be working on another project with one of my we just started the preliminaries on the pre-production of that. That's gonna be a Western theme. And then also working on another project that's just also in pre-production. It's an international project. I'm gonna be using actors from all over the world, actually, and have them film their scenes in their country. And then there's also gonna be, some of it will be done Zoom style. And it's going to be very interesting. It's a huge undertaking, but it's a great story. And I think with the people that I have picked out, I think everyone will do fantastic. I think we've got some good people that are, we have some great talent in the area, but now, be able to pick people from all over the world is kind of nice.
No, I agree with that. Now, the other question I want to ask you is actually, how can our fans and listeners get in touch with you? Are you on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram?
Oh, I'm on Facebook, and I have a YouTube channel as well. My YouTube channel is geared more towards, I do axe throwing and knife throwing and stuff like that. That's what my YouTube channel is more geared towards, is more the throwing and the just kind of stupid stuff I do. And then Facebook is more got acting stuff. I have 2 different pages. I have my regular page, and then the Corey Wells actor page, which you can find stuff on either. But I'll be straight up, it's really hard to stay on top of the actor page and my regular page just because I'm busy. I got a lot going on, and I wish I had more time. Eventually I'm going to need somebody to help me to keep up with social media, because it's like another life.
I hear you. Here, what about this? This question's actually really interesting. I have 2 pages full of these.
Go
So
for it.
let's see, what is your least favorite acting prom? Not say problem. What is the least of your favorite acting that you ever done?
My least favorite acting that I ever did. Huh. That's a good question. My least favorite acting. I'm self-critical. So, if you brought me up on any project, I could pick myself apart, I'm sure. But I don't think I had any really horrible experiences acting. I've had some interesting experiences. I've had some, oh, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, my battery's getting low. I really don't think I've had anything that I could point out that was terrible. I'm used to having to do stuff that, I get kind of beat up on or roughed up or, mildly hurt. So I'm used to that. So I can't really complain about that.
What about this one? Have you ever thought yourself as a mentor? And have you ever coached a fall actor for a script or a scene?
Yeah, I try to help whenever it's necessary. And I try to encourage them. 9 out of 10, they just need, some support if they are having any kind of struggle, and they just need to know that they're good. Hearing you're good helps you a lot. So it's nice to hear the positive instead of just the negative all the time. It's nice to hear you're pretty good instead of you suck.
I true. That's really well. It is true. I don't know how to say why I true. I can't
Yeah,
say. No, it is true. You are your own worst critic, and having other people be in your corner, it gives you that self confidence.
absolutely.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I said absolutely.
But the next one I want to ask is, how do you, with everything that you accomplish, how do you know you delivered a high quality acting performance?
It's usually by the director's tone of voice when he says cut. Seriously. You can tell by how he says it and the tone of his voice, 9 out of 10, if he's happy. So that's usually how I know if I did good.
What about your acting challenges? Was there some of your acting challenges that you have experience going through?
No, it was really kind of bizarre, but there was a lot of times where I had some pretty intense scenes in a couple of films, but fortunately, but yet unfortunately, I had some stuff happen in my personal life that was very emotionally wrenching that I think actually helped me in my deliveries in some of the films. It was like the timing was ridiculous on some of the stuff that I found out while I was filming. It's happened to me like 3 or 4 times where I got some like incredible, like heavy duty information. Well, it's like it has to happen while I'm filming, of course. And but it actually helps out. It's miserable, but it helps you connect with your emotions.
A lot of people in the acting business some say they took acting classes, they got training classes. So tell me about your acting training.
My acting training. I've lived on my own all over the country with no support from anyone. And I think, and growing up in New Jersey, it was such a heavy competition. The time frame that I grew up in, the competition was fierce and there was lots of people. And so there was a constant strive for excellence amongst everybody. So I think a lot of mine was the fact that I didn't really grow up at my house. I was kind of a kid that grew up on the street, not like it was in the middle of the city, it was the suburbs, but I spent more time out of my house than in it. I had a lot of street experience, good and bad, and a lot of just incredible experiences that I never would have pictured myself getting into. Some, life-threatening and some, life building. I just never would have imagined some of the situations I got myself into. But I think that the experience and the different jobs I've had have helped me, because when you're in certain businesses, you have to be able to read people. And there's little subtleties with their facial expressions, the tone of their voice, how they look at you, if they're looking at you, in the eyes, if they're looking off to the left every couple of minutes. There's a lot to be learned from that. And I've been fascinated by it most of my life. So, and it's helped me survive. So I try to integrate that into my own acting, and especially the subtle facial expressions, because even without saying anything, your face says so much. And there's just little things that everybody does that they usually don't know they do, but I know they do.
No, absolutely. Now, just one question. I do have some questions for you off the air, but I want to go not repeat, because I asked you that question in the beginning, but I left some parts out. So I want to go recap on the question I asked before. When I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, how do you feel now? Would you recommend it to other people?
Oh,
and
gosh.
Their listeners, what would you have to tell them?
Of course, I would recommend people. I think you're very professional, you're very well spoken, and you're enjoyable to talk to. Got a good sense of humor, you got good wit. Why wouldn't I want to?
No, absolutely. Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but for our fans and listeners, make sure to follow our guest. His Instagram will be on the bottom of the screen. As we were talking all this time, both our names were on the bottom of the screen. But if you're watching on Facebook, like, comment, share, leave comments. We would love to interact with you guys, both of us. Now on Instagram, on YouTube, I will be the only one commenting. Facebook, both of us. YouTube, it's only me. But if you're watching on YouTube, hit notifications. You will be notified when brand new episodes of the hit Keith Andrew Network show. It's up, running. We're going to take a short break. Let's say once we get to 900, I'm going to take a break until January. But during that time, we have a brand new show called Keith Andrew Network International. Stay tuned at episode 995 to hear more about that, and through 99. But that's a story for a different day. But wrapping up your interview segment, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest. I want to say thank you for your time. And until we meet again, I catch you later.
Thank you very much. It was great. Thank you.
No, thank you. And have a good night.